Hello again, fourth graders, and welcome to our fifth session of writing. Today we're going to focus on something called mining our writing. Remember, our goal is not just longer writing when we write about a topic or an idea, but also better thinking. We need to lift the level of our ideas and make them more complex. Here's an example of how a student took a ho-hum idea and made the idea complex. It is important to have one best friend. This is important because having one best friend is like having a home in the world. Some people think that it is best to have lots of friends and to think of them all as equal. But I find it comforting to know that Amy will always be there for me no matter what. Writers, today we will learn that instead of coming up with new ideas all the time, writers often reread and mine their old writing, looking for jewels. Now, it's especially powerful to look not only at one old entry and then another, but to look across a bunch of entries and see the topics that resurface often. It is powerful to discover that there are ideas or themes underneath the surface of our notebooks and our lives. Let's reread an notebook entry and look for some ideas that might be lying between the lines. There's a whole list of possible questions to keep in mind, but let's just think of the first one or two as we reread the entry. Here are some questions that writers ask of earlier entries. What is the important thing about this entry? What does this teach about me and about life? Why do I remember this one time? How does it connect to who I am or other important issues? What other entries have I written that connect to this one? What does this make me realize? What do I want readers to know about this? And what surprises me about this? Here's our example. When the basketball game was almost over, I glanced toward the doorway and saw my father striding across the gym floor toward me. His red plaid hunting cap perched on his head, his rubber galoshes flapping. Why couldn't he wait in the car like all the other dads? I thought. Then, in a voice that boomed through the room, my dad called, "Lucas!" and began to climb the bleachers toward me and the other kids. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me. Well, what's the important thing about this entry? When we think about this brief entry, obviously this young boy who's playing basketball does not want to have his dad come and see him. What are the ideas this entry gives us? Well, we can think maybe about how his dad looks, why his dad is acting this way, maybe why the boy doesn't want this dad to come across and talk to him dressed this way and approach him this way. The author should then scan through other entries for that same idea. In other words, not just this entry, but are there other times and other entries and stories that the person has written that kind of have the same kind of theme about how this child is acting towards his father. Right now, just take a few moments, if you need to pause the video you can, to mine your entries for underlying ideas. Now, this particular unit, this is only lesson 5, so you only have a couple of entries. But look back at these first couple entries for a moment and see if there's something there that you might be able to write with as we look forward to writing our larger story. If you are going to pause the video, look back and then start it again. As we continue, soon you will choose your seed idea topics for your essays. You do not just want to choose any old off the top of your head idea. You want to choose an idea that truly matters to you. Some strategies, again, are to take a subject, such as a person, place, or object that matters to you, and list ideas related to that subject. Then we take one of those ideas and write about it. We observe things and write, "The thought I have about this is..." We let writing spark new thoughts. We take those sparks and write new entries about them. And finally, we can reread our earlier writing and ask questions about those earlier entries. So what are the topics that reoccur for you? Think about that. What we're going to be doing is taking a look at our seed idea and putting it into a thesis statement in the end of today's workshop and into an essay next week. We're going to be building on something what we call boxes and bullets, and we'll be working with that next time, not necessarily in lesson 5 here, but in lesson 6. The last bit of really important work for you to do today then will be writing a thesis. Again, we'll be doing that in lesson 6, but I'm going to give you an example of what your writing is going to be like today. Think about a person that does mean a lot to you. Something that is really powerful that you could write about. Then I want you to put that person's name inside of a circle and branch out with some ideas, kind of like almost like a sunshine with rays coming off of it. Here's one example. If you wanted to write about one's dad, maybe you could say that he took me sailing and you were excited to end the vacation. Maybe he gave lots of advice about writing to you. What do I really want to say about my dad? And maybe he made waffles every Christmas for the hospital. Happy to have festivities to go to work. Things to do. So what I want you to do today for your writing, as our example here shows, is in your writer's journal, put down a name of a person that means a lot to you and put their name in a circle. Branch off of that 3 or 4 ideas that mean a lot to you. As we work on this, lesson 6 is going to be our True Boxes and Bullets Framing Essays lesson. So if you need some help, go ahead and watch lesson 6, and then we can come back and do lesson 5's work if needed. If you can follow this example, pause it here as we end the video, and I want you to try writing a person's name in a circle with some ideas about how that person has affected you. Good luck, and let's get started.